Welcome to the Quimby Chronicles Momcast, where we talk about all things motherhood, family, and keeping your sanity through it all. On today's episode, we're talking about the real side of being a military spouse with young kids. The struggles, the surprises, the moments that make you want to scream, but also the moments that make it all worth it. Ready to join the conversation? Come on in. Hey, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of the Quimby Chronicles Momcast. You know, where we keep it real and relatable, okay? Because we all on a struggle bus, but we on it together, okay? So today we're diving into a topic that I know hits home for many, many women, and it's life as a military spouse with kids. Now, I personally may not have lived that life, but I've had the pleasure of watching Chante navigate it, and let me tell you something, it is not for the weak, okay? So today, we've got two amazing women here who are living that life and rocking it. So y'all already know Chante, my daughter, mother of two, and a military spouse. And we've also got her friend who's also in the thick of the military. So, are y'all ready to get started?
Yes.
All right, well, let's do it. Okay, so let's start with the basics. So, how did you end up in the military spouse life? Was it always the plan? Did it just happen? What happened? What was the path?
I will say yes and no because how my husband's brain is set up, he always had a desire to look into going like right after high school, but then the way that life hit and it was honestly just a mess. So it started off as a plan and then the plan got derailed for a couple of years, especially because we had our son, I think a year after I graduated, about a year and a half after he did. And then the plan got back on track and then off the rails again. And then back on track, but pregnant with my daughter. So then it was honestly a hot mess. So I will say it was a plan, but it didn't go exactly the way that we thought it would. Nowhere near it. It went nowhere near the way we thought it would, to be completely honest. It was a mess. It was a hot mess, but we pulled it together, obviously.
I know that's right. All right, Sylvia.
So for
For you.
me, it was not a plan. It was not in my plans, at least. It was never in my plans. Actually, it's funny because when I met my husband, when he was just my boyfriend, I actually specifically asked him before we started dating if he planned on going into the military because I knew that this is not a life I wanted because my dad, he was in the military, so I just already knew. So, I mean, at this point, I was already in love with him. We had already been together for 3 years and I was not giving up on it. So I just kind of rolled with the flow. And so definitely wasn't a plan, but it's what we're living now, I guess.
Okay, I support it. I support it. All right. So, Shantae, what was your first reaction when you realized, like, okay, life is real? I'm a military spouse, like a real life military spouse. It's me and these kids here, and my husband is off at work.
I would honestly, I feel like that moment hit before we even made it over here. So for those of you that don't know, I am originally from Florida, like the Tampa area, and we drove all the way to this northern Texas area that we're in now. And that was about an 18-hour drive. I would say so the route that we took, it went from Florida up to Georgia, then Alabama, Mississippi. I feel like once we hit Louisiana, I was like, okay, so it's really just us out here by ourselves, and all of our family is back over there. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I remember this specific moment. We stopped at Louisiana because my daughter needed changing. We needed to start life. We're hungry. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh my God, like we really just left home and it's about to just be me and them throughout the day while he's at work every day. And if he gets deployed, because I remember how it felt when he was at basic, even though I wasn't alone, I was like, ooh, ooh, this is crazy. So I definitely feel like on the road trip over here, it really get like, wow, it's really we're away from home in a brand new area, don't know anybody. This is really crazy.
Yeah. What about you, Sylvia?
So I've been doing this about over 3 years. So I've been doing this for a minute. And where our situation differs, me and Chante, is when she started, she already had kids. She was already married. Us, we were only married. We had no kids. So it was really just me alone, like a lot of the time. So I guess my first realization, I was actually like coming down the stairs. It was Valentine's Day. I was pregnant at this point, and I was heavily pregnant. So obviously I'm pissed off because my husband's working on Valentine's Day already. But at this point, it's 8 o'clock at night. So over here things start closing at 9, 10 o'clock at night, and he's still in the field. So I know some people are not fortunate to have their husband come home after they've in the field, but I was pissed off. And in that moment, I just remember thinking, like, I have no one. Like, it's just me. And then I was also thinking, like, okay, now I'm pregnant. And so now I'm going to be taking care of a baby where it's just me. And I just felt super alone. And like, if you know me to my core, I'm someone who doesn't really like being alone. I like having people over. I like socializing. I'm not really like a loner. So it was just really weird because like my both sides of my families are 6 hours apart. So it's like they can't just get here in a drop of the hat, you know? So I would say like that was when my realization hit, like, oh crap, it's getting real. Because before we were just, married, and I could go out and have fun and he could be at work, but now it's like we're at a whole different level of like now I got to take care of this kid by myself.
Right.
And navigate what that is like. So it was definitely hard. It was definitely hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I commend y'all. Okay. I'll tell you that.
Thank you.
Is what's one thing about military life that nobody warned y'all about? Something that really caught you off guard.
The amount of uncertainty, because when they tell you to be there at this time, they don't care what you have going on. You need to be there at this time. And there's a lot of things that come with this uncertainty, whether it's when it comes to housing or when it comes to, you have to get everything over. That's new media trips and don'ts of the base, the do's and don'ts of the area alone, what places to avoid, what they recommend. It's like starting your life over every couple of years, which don't get me wrong, I like the ability to, be able to travel and, for them to provide a way for us to do that. Like, that's also very stressful because say you're packing up your house, like for instance, we need to be gone about 2 months, but then have a 2-week Florida trip towards the end of that second month. And we don't even know what housing we're going to next. So we have to be packing up stuff in this current house, and we don't even have our fingers on the next house. So it's definitely stressful, but you know, you'll make it through. Whether you have like a Facebook page to rely on, or even neighbors like going door to door, it'll be figured out. But it also still kind of having to start over every so often. Leave the home that you have, and you have to go and make the next house the home, and then the next one, and then the next.
Right.
Right. Yeah. What about you, Sylvia?
I guess, people have told me, like, make sure you have patience, but I don't think they really went into what having patience looks like. It's a lot, like she said, about the uncertainty. Like, I'm not really a patient person to my core. So, like, patience has been, like, the hardest thing that I've had to learn because at the end of the day, I can't get pissed off at my husband because this is his job. It's a contract. He basically sold his life to the military, and I have to, be around for the ride. But like nobody told me about the type of patience, like the level of patience. Every single aspect, you have to have patience. It's like I want to go grocery shopping. Oh well, my husband's working till this time. I can't. Or I want to do a spontaneous weekend. Well, in this kind of job he has, spontaneous is not a word you can use. There's nothing, you can't be spontaneous.
Right.
And then, of course, the moving thing. Like, I'm also supposed to be moving in 2 months, and I'm not on any type of list. I don't know what house we're going to be living in. I don't know what's going to happen. And it's the first time around, it wasn't as bad because it was just me and him. And I lived with my parents, and, he lived in the barracks. So it wasn't like there's a possibility I might be homeless. But now I have a kid. So it's a lot more stressful because it's like, I don't want my kid like hopping from hotel room to hotel room and this to that. Like
Right.
So definitely, I would say patience and uncertainty are definitely the top, like, issues, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say, because like I said, I've never been, a military spouse in the capacity that you ladies are. I was a military spouse, but I was also in the military. So it was a little bit different for me. But, with Sylvia saying, oh, the patience thing, it's hilarious because if you know anybody that's been in the military, they'll tell you that's what the military is all about. You're going to hurry up and wait. Okay? Because you need to hurry up because we need you to get here. But when you get here, you're going to be waiting.
Mm-hmm.
That just made me think of that. It's hilarious. I mean, but like you said, it's they're doing a noble thing, and how can you get mad at them? But you get mad, because at the end of the day, you're human, and y'all still have these kids, and it's like, hey, we had these kids, but you're not here. And I'm not supposed to be mad at you, but I'm mad at you, So I get it. I get it. I get it. So we just talked about moving and yeah, we just talked about moving because the next question was going to be, do you ever feel like you just getting settled and then boom, it's time to go again. It is. So, let's talk about the real MVPs in all this situation. Okay. It's the children. And I know for you, Sylvia, like you said, y'all were already there when your daughter was born. But Chante, how did you deal with the transition? Because, especially with Luca, because Selena was what, 6 months, 5 months?
I think she was about 5 months.
Yeah. But Luca was good in, what was he, 2? So, Luca was used to being around his Gigi and his TT and Auntie and Papa. So how did you manage that transition, or how did you help him cope with that transition?
Honestly, I will say when we first got over here, not being someone to, I won't say delegate him off to, but like, even though, okay, technically it is lying, but if I was trying to do something, it was just ask me if I like, oh, go see what Gigi's doing, or oh, Gigi called you, knowing that you're probably upstairs watching videos or something. I'm like, Gigi called you, go see what Gigi does. I just need him to stop asking me 5,000 questions just for a second so I can. But when we got here, I would say I didn't really focus on getting much unpacked or much done. I basically just like focused time on because like we said, Selena was about 5 months old, so she was still taking like pretty regular naps at that point. So I was able to give a good bit of one-on-one time when I first got here. So that I even have him helping me unpack the stuff. I'm like, oh, could you handle that box next? And I gave him a lot of one-on-one attention. And whenever he would ask to call somebody, then I would call him. And at that point, Luca had it was like a little iPhone 8 that from my mom, and I would just give it to him. So he was able to call his Gigi, call his T, call whoever he wanted to call because you're not calling them on my phone. Call them on your phone. You go ahead and do that. You handle that. But whenever I wanted to talk to someone specific, I would call whenever he would want to talk to the girls, my sister and my cousin. They're like sisters. She's basically like my too. Oh, I want to talk to Raina. Oh, I want to talk to Lyric. Yep, go ahead. Bring your phone. I'll call them for you. And they would sit on the phone and talk about completely nothing for at least an hour. So even times like that, I was able to get stuff done because I was able to talk to the girls or whatever. So it took a lot of maneuvering around him, and Selena, she was just she was just happy to be there. It was just her thing, but it definitely a lot of one.
Yeah.
And to kind of maneuver how his day to day was.
Right. Okay, well, Sylvia, we'll catch up with you when y'all get to your next duty station.
Period.
We'll ask, okay, how did you deal with the transition? Okay, because my girl Melody she been chilling. Okay,
she's good here. She's good.
Yeah, so I will check in and we'll see when y'all move to your next duty station. We'll see how Melody's doing. So next question is, what has been the hardest part about raising little ones with, number one, not only your spouse being gone most of the day, or sometimes, like you said, Sylvia, your husband's in the field, so for days on end, and then also without your family. All right, so Chante, so what's what's been the hardest part about raising the kids or taking care of the kids while your spouse is away, and then also, for both of you, not having your families there, because I know both of you have, you know, a good amount of family members that, definitely pitch in and stuff like that. So what's it been like doing it just by yourself during the day?
I am not going to lie. It, especially like the first 3 months or so, it was definitely very difficult for me because that was the first time that I had ever been, just completely solo with them ever. Because even when it was just my son, my parents were down the street, or when I had Selena, they were right upstairs or right outside or whatever. So that this was the first time that I was ever with them completely by myself with, like no physical village to lean on. So that was very difficult because it wasn't like, oh, go ask Gigi to make you a sandwich, or oh, go ask TT for juice, or go ask Sean or whatever. Like I
Uh-huh.
that anymore because it was just me and them. So when he's asking, "Oh, can I have a snack? Oh, can I have juice? Oh, can I have cupcakes?" Like I have to go and get it because I can't be like, "Oh, well, ask so and so to get it for you," because it's literally just us. Like it was,
Right.
and that was definitely quite the transition. And then not having the physical village to lean on. You can't be, "Oh, well, can you wash him for a couple hours so we can go do this?" Or there was a time that Lucas stayed pretty much overnight. It was probably about like 6 hours altogether that he spent with my mom, and then it was just us back at our apartment, and we were there right 6 o'clock in the morning to come and get him. There was none of that. It was just us and them. So it was definitely difficult to like lean into, but now that we finally got it down, we're okay. But that it definitely was extremely difficult at the beginning, not having anybody to be like, "Hey, can you come watch
Yeah.
for a couple of hours?" Like, no, there's none. Everybody's 18, 20 hours away. So it got a little wicked, a little bit. Just a little.
Not bad. All right, what about you, Sylvia?
So at first, because I had the babies while he was already in the military, he had 3 months off. So I feel like that kind of fooled me a little bit. Like it was like, okay, my husband's here constantly. I have this other person to. So the first 3 months, and then plus we had family visiting. So it just felt like I had this surplus of people helping me. To go from that to straight off, okay, boom, he's gone. It's just you.
Yeah.
Honestly, to cope with that, honestly, I just got on the phone with Chante. That's only the way that we're coping right now, is that we're both kind of living very similar lives. So we're on the phone for 5, 6, 7 hours a day. Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturdays. But we're talking 24/7, kind of speaking through our emotions to where, like, I just know I can tell her and I know she's going to know what that feels like. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's how I cope, but it's definitely very difficult because for me, I feel like I'm doing all the work. And I mean, I know it's not his intention to make me, it's not like I have a crappy husband who's, is like, here, take the kid. That's your job. But it's more of like, he's gone. So it's like, I don't have him here and I don't have any family around me. So it's very hard. And then when he comes home, he only has her for 2 hours and then she goes to sleep. And then he gets to be Indiana. And I'm just sitting here like, still trying to recover from the day I just had. Like, still trying to recover from like the stress I was just under. So I would say it's very hard to deal with, but I feel like the best way to cope is finding people who, if they can't be there for you physically, find someone who can understand you emotionally, mentally, and that boom, if I'm having a stressful day, boom, I'm gonna pick up the phone and call Chante because I know she knows where I'm coming from. I know she's gonna give me advice that's gonna help me and make me feel like I've been heard. Because at the end of the day, they're still men and they don't always understand women's emotions. So to be able to have like not a physical person there for me, it's very honestly, it's the best thing that I can just call Chante. Like literally. That I can just boom, she knows where I'm coming from, boom. She's not gonna sit there and be like, you're being dramatic or I don't understand you, stuff like she's like instantly like, girl, yeah, this happened to me too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That girl talk. You need to find your over the phone like people. Like you have to be able to communicate. Someone you can talk to. If it's a therapist, awesome. But if it's not a therapist, a best friend, a mom, a sister, someone that can help you cope through it.
So it sounds like y'all have found y'all little mom tribe. Okay, y'all got y'all military mom tribe, and I support it. I definitely support it. So along those same lines, I know military families do have a lot of support systems, but do you feel like the support provided to you by the military is enough, or do you feel like you have to figure things out on your own most of the time? I think I know the answer to this, but
Honestly, I could say that you could argue that both ways though, because, and honestly, I feel like, it'll depend on, like, sometimes it'll depend on the branches, sometimes it'll depend on the base, but I feel like where we are personally, like directly, I would say that they do provide more than enough uh, resources, whether it's food or familial things. Like, there's parts on the base that you can get car seats and formula. There's constant people in the Facebook group that'll post the stuff that they don't need, or something that you're looking for. And someone's like, "Oh, I have it," or "Oh, I can bring some when my husband gets home." Like, I would say personally, where I am, even though like we all don't even know each other that well, we would all like hop up and do what we can if we're able to. There's any of that, like people that have never even been here, just now getting here. Oh, does anyone have so and so? And then you have someone that's been here for 3 years. Oh yeah, me and this person go to the park every day at this time and would love if you wanted to come too. Like, everyone here, I would say, is super friendly. There's plenty of resources on the base, like I said, for food. There's this office that I think it's either every Thursday or Friday, I don't remember, but they give like packs of chicken, they have burgers, there's just random foods that it's kind of like a pantry type thing, and they give out a whole bunch of food for families that they know would need it or whatever the case may be. And like I said, the car seats, there's formula, there's all types of stuff things that you wouldn't even think that people are looking for. There's always something there for everybody. So I would say at this base that I'm at particularly, I would say resources, they have a lot of great resources.
okay. So you feel like do you feel like it's enough?
Yes.
Okay. Sylvia?
I feel like well, she's looked into her bases. I mean, I feel like they do give you, if you look for them, I feel like you can find great, like I get WIC through the military, and that definitely is a game changer, okay? Saving a lot of money on formula here. I'll tell you that one. So I feel like there are resources that you can tap into that it should be enough, and it is enough. I feel like the only issue I would have more support system is like not through the military. It's more like support systems for like me, like my family. I feel like that's the part where no, it's not enough, because the military, they're taking you here away from your family.
Right.
And otherwise, if I wasn't in the military, otherwise I would still be in Florida, still be near my dad, have this extra support system. Like, hey, if I need a second from my child, boom, they can help me. But over here is a different story. But if you're talking about resource wise that the military provide for you, I feel like they do more than enough. I feel like they help us with housing. Sometimes they pay for our full housing,
Right.
and give us extra money. The raises are good too. They do a lot of raises, actually, surprisingly. And it's for everyone. So it's really, they give us a lot of resources that I would say they do a lot more than any other job would do for you. But that's just the only downside, is that you don't have that that army behind you helping you raise your children.
Right.
Because I
Right.
come from a humongous family. Like, I'm from a big family. So I was always, I'm the babysitter of the family. So whenever anybody needed help with their children, boom, call Sylvia. She gonna come get them. But to raise a kid now, and you're seeing that same thing is not done for you because of the military, it sucks. It sucks. But as long as you can just be strong and just take one day at a time, you'll get through it.
Right. And I will say one thing, again, I've never been a military spouse, taking care of kids at home by myself while my husband was off doing, his job. But one thing that I did find when I was in the military was that, yes, the resources were there, but you had to know somebody that knew something about it, because it wasn't anything that was advertised. Nobody told you, hey, you have kids, go here, or you need this, go here. It had to be, you either had to know somebody or you had to do some extensive research. And that just, especially being young and being a new mom, you barely know yourself, at that age. And then having to deal with the kid, having to raise a kid and stuff like that, I just feel like the resources were there, but just knowing where to go and knowing, who to go to do stuff. That's one thing that I found. All right. So for the moms that are out there listening who are about to start this journey that you guys are rocking right now, what's one piece of advice that you would give them?
I feel like it's going to sound contradicting to everything that I've said so far in this episode, but I would say asking for help when you need it, because it's a lot easier to sit here and go crazy when you're completely by yourself than if you have someone else here helping you, whether, that's family coming to visit for a couple of days or a week or whatever, or maybe you and your kids going to visit your family for a couple of days or a week. But I feel like a strong mental is the biggest thing, or I would say the one of the most important things that it comes with this life. You need to have some sort of a strong mental, and like Sylvia said, whether you want to pursue therapy or you find a best friend, sister, mom, whoever to talk to, a strong mental is extremely important when it comes to the military life as like as a spouse and mom, or just a spouse, whatever. But it's definitely a good thing to have, is a strong mental for sure.
Okay, Sylvia, what would you tell them?
What I would say, advice, I have two actually. One's communication, which she kind of said, communicating to other people, but also communicating, having effective communication to your spouse, being able to talk about something without getting pissed off at each other, and have a calm, cool, collected conversation where you're giving your feelings across and he's, giving his feelings across, and you never know, you might actually understand each other a little bit more after that conversation. And then my second thing would be more just knowing that this is temporary, very temporary. You move every couple years, and there's been many times, I've been doing this for over 3 years, so there's been many times where it feels like a couple like months back to back to back. It just feels like it's the same problem, same thing, same issue. But then it's like a pivotal point where it's like, wow, okay, this is actually what it's hyped up to be. Okay, I see why people do this for so long. So yeah, I would say that there's a lot of bad times while you're doing the military and stuff like that, but there is good that comes from it, especially seeing the amount of pride that it brings to your husband. Like it's a thing that you should be proud of. You're risking your life, you're doing a lot of sacrifice, whether it's you and your spouse, we're both sacrificing things, but I would say it's temporary. Cause like one of the issues I've had is when he first met me, I was very independent. I mean, I was paying for everything. Like, he was younger than me, so whatever. It wasn't that big of a deal. But, I had a plan. I had my schooling. I was ambitious and I knew exactly what I wanted. And because I decided, hey, I'm gonna marry this man, my life plan kind of was thrown off track. And me and Chante have talked about this. It kind of makes you a little bit resentful towards your husband because you just imagine your life going one way, and because of his career, it's going a whole different way. So being able to communicate that to him and just tell him like, "Hey, this is what's on my heart. This is what's heavy to me," and him telling you, you know what? At the next duty station, it might be different. We'll prioritize that it's different. You get your schooling. We'll make sure there's something out there for you. Really actually helped me just think like, okay, this is temporary. I just have to kind of ride the bad waves and then I get to the beautiful ocean. Okay. I get to the beautiful part of it. So definitely remember it's temporary. It's not forever. It sucks right now. And it really freaking sucks right now. But later down on the road, you're going to be like, if it wasn't for my sacrifice at that time, I wouldn't be able to have my cake and eat it too. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Love that advice. I love it. I love it. All right. So last topic we're going to talk about is the mental and emotional load. So we're gonna be real about it and know that the military spouse lifestyle, it does come with a lot of stress. So how do y'all take care of yourselves mentally and emotionally? I know you already said, talked about talking to each other and being somebody that each other can lean on. But what else helps with that emotional load?
You need to make sure, and this is you need to make sure you get your me time where you're not focused on being a wife and you're not focused on being a mom. You are focused on being you. Whether that's, I don't even know, you go to get ice cream, you do your nails, you do your lashes, you need me time. Like me, I need to have Chante time. Not mom time, not wife time. I need to have time. And I personally think that that's very important because then your mind doesn't get a chance to focus on just you because you already know as moms you're like, oh well, I have to do this for Selena. Oh, Luca needs that. Oh, Selena needs new this. And I'm like, okay, whoa. I put it on the grocery list. Be done. I'm clocked out of mom mode. Wife mode. I need to make sure that he remembered to take his Tupperware out of his lunchbox. Oh, I need to make sure that he has all his patches on his OCPs. Like, no. I'm going to give you a to-do list. You need to clean out your lunchbox. You need to make sure your uniform is ready to go in the morning. You need to make sure your shoes are by the door and stop leaving them on the carpet. That's your to-do list. And then I'm locked in on Chante. That is Chante's time. Oh, Chante, do you want to do your name? Oh, Chante, do you want to do your lashes? Actually, I want to sit down and watch my show. I want to sit down and play my game. I'm going to find something to do for me and just me. And the house, put the house to bed. That's your you time. You watch, get popcorn, you get ice cream, do whatever. But you need to make sure you get you time. I won't say every single day because that's not very. It's not exactly possible for everyone. But at least more than a couple times a week, every you need to make sure that you have the mental focus on just yourself from time to time. It's easy to get wrapped up in what you are running the household. So you need to make sure.
Okay, look, clock it. Okay. I like it. I like it. What about you, Sylvia?
Like she said, me time. Give yourself like projects to do. Like Sylvia gave herself a big project to do. I'm doing a dollhouse for my daughter. And yes, it is for my daughter, but like it's something that I wanted to do since I was a child. So it's kind of healing my inner child over here. But yeah, and I feel like as a society, and it's a society thing where everybody has like these opinions on what you're supposed to look like when you're a mother. You're supposed to constantly have your brain turned on. You're supposed to constantly, a mother and a wife, constantly taking care of your spouse. But we have to, like she said, we have to remember that they are grown adults too. They can do the things that we do for them, they can do on their own. Okay. And yeah, because sometimes I'm guilty of it. Like I'll give him the baby, and then if the baby's crying or the baby's difficult, I feel guilty that I'm making him have to figure it out for himself. But I shouldn't feel that way because I have to figure it out for myself 8, 10 hours, 11, 12 hours a day. So those 2 hours he has to figure it out. I just have to tell myself, you go do something else. You let him figure it out. And taking that breather is what keeps you because it's very easy to get wrapped up in your titles, to get being wrapped up into being a mom, to get wrapped up into being a wife, and to completely forget about yourself. And you hear the story time and time again, like people are in their 40s or 50s and like, I don't know who the heck I am. You know, yeah, but yeah, just definitely find something you enjoy to do and do it. That's it. Do your little thing. If that's making videos on TikTok, if that's cleaning, if that's playing Sims like it is for me, then do it because it just keeps yourself you. Like it's so. I've had a couple of those already, and my daughter's only 10 months old, and so there'll just be moments where I'm sitting there by myself, like, what do I even like to do anymore? Like, what's my hobbies?
Yeah.
And when you go to the store, buy yourself something. Don't think, oh, I'm gonna buy my kid this, my husband this, and then at the end of the day, you're like, okay, what did I buy myself though? No, like buy yours. Go shopping for you, not for your house, not groceries. That's not alone time. That your brain is still reeling. Alone time is I'm gonna go to Ulta and buy myself makeup, and I'm gonna come home and my husband asks, "Oh, what you get me?" Nothing, nothing, exactly nothing, because I wasn't even thinking about you at the moment. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, just be yourself. Just do things that you enjoy.
I know. So I said that. All right. So, do y'all ever feel like people underestimate how hard it is to be a military spouse?
1000%. 1000%.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because whether it's, you know, you're a military spouse and you have kids, or if you don't, it's going to be difficult regardless, because whether you have kids or not, you're still being sent away from wherever you've grown up, wherever your home is, your family, whatever. You have to make sacrifices regardless if you're a military spouse with kids or not. It's like a little more of a sacrifice when you have kids in the equation, but it's a sacrifice regardless. People think like, well, first, people think that just because you're in the military, you're rich. You're not. So we're gonna throw that out there now. You're not. No, just because you're in the military does not mean you have a bunch of money just laying around. That's not the case. And you know, people think like, let's start if you didn't have kids. People think, oh, well, your husband or your wife is in the military. All you do is just stay at home. What? What? Sitting at home by yourself? No one wants that, because you have people that are introverted and they don't have any friends, so they're sitting in a brand new place without the only person that they know, no family, like nothing out there. Just because you're sitting at home doesn't mean it's not still hard, because you don't have your family, you don't have your friends. It's literally just you there by yourself. And then with kids, you have kids to worry about also while in a new environment, trying to get your footing back because you're in a completely new place. It's hard, and it's a sacrifice regardless. So I definitely do think that people underestimate, because it's definitely a lot harder than it looks. Even sitting in the recruiting office with my husband, they were telling us like, yeah, you know, it's not gonna be like easy like how you think it. Yeah, obviously I didn't think it was easy, but I also didn't think it was gonna be this hard. Like that was a lot easier said than done. That was something crazy. It was definitely difficult, but I definitely do think it gets underestimated quite a bit, and also getting underestimated by people who don't have any sort of affiliation with the military, so they wouldn't know.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. It's people underestimate it a lot. I've been on both sides where I'm just a wife. And that was already a very difficult time because it was like, okay, not only am I becoming a wife, especially a young wife, is already hard because now you're like, okay, this is real. It ain't going nowhere. The only way out is divorce, and I ain't divorcing. You get what I'm saying? So now it gets real, and then you have to move across or a couple states away. So now you're moving from everything you've ever known. So you're navigating this new territory that you're in a new place. So it's just like that's hard already. And then you add kids to the mix. And now it's like, okay, me and my husband here, kids here, nobody else is here. There's a lot of sacrifices you have to do, whether it's patience, whether it's you wanted to do this, you can't do it now. You want your husband to do this, and he definitely can't do it. Like, people don't know. People don't know. There are certain things that it's not just drinking and smoking that they are restricted on. It's also things like whitewater rafting. They can't do it because it's dangerous. And unfortunately, they belong to the government. The government wants to keep their people healthy and keep their people able to fight for them. So they can't do like I wanted to go whitewater rafting with my husband here. We live by the Chattahoochee River, and they're not allowed to do it. And I said, why? And he's like, because a lot of people have died from it, and we're just not allowed. And I'm like, okay, what else are you not allowed to do? Things like there's hidden rules, there's hidden restrictions that causes you to have to sacrifice a lot, a lot, a lot. And most of the time, it's people who are not military spouses who are underestimating the amount of sacrifice it takes. Because being a stay-at-home by yourself, military and no military, is hard enough. A lot of people think, oh, you're just sitting on your butt doing nothing all day. No, did you notice when you came home you had to do nothing in the house? Who do you think gets that done? Did you notice that your children are fed and loved and bathed and this and that? Who did that? I did that. Do you notice that I look a dang mess and I'm smelly and I look like I just stayed up for 5 days straight? That's because I've been doing all this. So we're not just sitting on our butt, people. We're not just doing nothing here. We're building families and we're building our husbands up so they can have these great careers. This is and the one thing I will say that I really do appreciate about the military is that they recognize the sacrifices that the spouses make, because there's been many ceremonies that my husband has gotten a certificate or whatever, and they've given me one too. And on it will say, thank you for your sacrifice, as a spouse, because they know dang well that these men are not surviving without their spouses. These men are not getting up early and work by themselves. I'm the one waking him up. I'm the one making sure his alarm goes off.
Right.
So that's what I will say about the military is they realize that it's a sacrifice for the spouses as well. And I commend them for that, because they could just be like, this is life. They could just be like, I really don't care. This is life. Right. But they don't. So I feel like for those who sit here and underestimate the amount of sacrifices that we do and that the things that we have to do on a daily basis, you have to understand that it's not easy. No, we're not rich. We did not just get this influx of money because, like she said, a lot of people have come up to me and been like, oh, you can afford this. A lot of my siblings, a lot of my family members are like, hey, can you buy me this? And I'm like, what made you think I have that kind of money? Oh, well, you're in the military. The military gives you a housing allowance. That's so we can live. That has nothing to do with, I'm not out here doing crazy expenses, So just understand that it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
There is one more thing that I wanted to say is one thing that really grinds my gears is when you are like venting how you feel about a specific situation. And the first thing they want to say, that's the life you signed up for. That's what you signed up for. Okay. Because let's relax. Just because I wasn't the one that actually signed the contract doesn't mean I'm not allowed to complain. I'm the one that has to sit here and go through it too. So yes, it was signed up for, but I'm allowed to complain. I'm allowed to voice my feelings. Okay, thank you. Just because it was signed up for doesn't. If you are clocking into a job that you don't like, okay, you signed up for that job, didn't you? And you're still gonna sit here and complain, aren't you? Okay. So
Yep. And the difference between those two situations is you can quit that job. I can't quit this lifestyle. I can't. You can quit that job. He can't quit this job. He tried to quit, he going to jail. That's he tried to quit, he's locked up. He's AWOL, okay? There's no quitting once you sign this contract, no matter where it takes you. Yeah, so a lot of people, she's right. A lot of people will, like my brother. My brother has told me that. You signed up for this. And I'm just like looking at him like, actually, no, I didn't. I signed up to be in this relationship. He signed up for this. What was I supposed to do? Leave him? Was I supposed to leave him?
Yeah.
Like, what was I supposed to do? Hello?
Well, that's usually how it goes. But speaking of the husbands, so how do y'all keep the relationship strong when your husband is constantly training, or like Sylvia for you, your husband's in the field for however long? What do y'all do to help keep the connection strong, to keep it alive?
I would definitely say communication, like we always talk about. Communication is definitely key. And whether you need to have time where it's just you guys, whether it's planned or whatever the case may be, whether that's, a movie or like s'mores, anything like that you did, or like my husband and I, we would like either play board games or we have like Lego sets that we'll put together, things like that. Just time where it's just us. Like we'll put movie or music on, put together a puzzle or a Lego set or coloring or anything like.
Okay, so speaking of the husbands, how do y'all find time to keep your connection strong, to keep your relationship vibrant, to keep your, for y'all to stay connected when, your husband is off training all day, or like Sylvia, like you mentioned, your husband being in the field for a couple of days. So what do y'all do to keep that connection alive?
I would say two things. I would say communication, whether it's like, oh, I feel like we haven't spent that time or spent enough time with each other, or things like, because I'll use my husband and I as an example. We will like put a TV show, like a random cartoon or whatever background. We put together puzzles, we do Lego sets, we do board games. So we always find something to do like, with each other, or there's time did big cookies together or watching a movie, anything like that. We, whether it has to be scheduled or you for the moment thing, but we always make some sort of time set aside for just us, like whenever the kids go to sleep.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Sylvia?
Girl. Girl. Um, okay, so like you said, of course, communication and stuff, and then finding time to do things together, of course. Um, like after the baby sleep is literally the only time we have alone. So it's like put a couple hours like after the baby goes to sleep. I'm hoping everybody's baby's going to sleep like early because mine does. I'd be ready to put her up, okay? So like around like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, we'll watch shows, we'll do this, we'll do that. Um, but I feel like it's very, very easy to get into the roommate stage where you both are just like kind of two people passing in the night. Okay. I don't know what happened, but okay. So yeah, it's very easy to be roommates and to just realize that that's the stage you're in, because a lot of people don't even realize that they're roommates half the time. Realize that that's the stage you're in and put effort to change that. If it's not just catering to each other's love languages. I will say that. Cater to each other's love languages. However your spouse loves to be loved, make sure you're doing that at least a couple hours a day, fill their cup. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard. I'm telling you, it's very hard. I still be going through it sometimes, the roommate stage, stuff like that. It's a work in progress, but the things that have helped us is, telling each other like, okay, this bugged me. Can we change this? This, I'll change this. And then, sitting down, watching a movie together, or but remain intimate please remain intimate. Get it in where you fit it in. Literally get it in where you fit it in, because if not it makes it 1,000 times.
No, that literally took me out.
Literally.
Yes, literally. But yeah, like she said, communication and just finding things you guys like to do together alone. Go on dates, date your partner. Whenever your parents, like, sometimes I'll ask my mom, "Hey mom, can you just come this weekend? Just cause we just need alone time." And my mom will be like, "You know what? I've been missing the baby. I'm on my way." And I know that's not as easy for everybody, but the moments that you have that time to give them to someone else, give that baby away and go be with your husband.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. All right. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
This was a very good conversation today. But before we wrap up, we're going to do a quick lightning round. So I'm going to say a phrase and y'all tell me what's the first word that comes to mind. Okay, so let's do a quick lightning round before we wrap up. I'm going to say a phrase and y'all say the first word that comes to mind. So, Sylvia, military life is.
Difficult.
The hardest part of being a military spouse is?
Sacrifice.
The best part of being a military spouse is?
Benefits?
And one thing I wish more people would understand about this life is?
Tiring. It's tiring. It's tiring.
I support it. All right, Chante, your turn. So military life is?
Complicated.
Hardest part of being a military spouse is?
Still the uncertainty.
The best part of being a military spouse is?
Opportunities.
Okay. And one thing I wish more people understood about this life is?
Patience. Patience.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, ladies. So this was definitely a great convo. So where can people connect with y'all? Chante, we already know where to find. Well, we don't already know where to find you because they normally find you at the Quimby Chronicles. But where can people connect with y'all if they want to hear more about your experiences or just need some support from other military spouses?
My handle on all of my social media is at Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Okay, not Facebook, but Facebook, it's just Chante Baez, and then that's it. But all my social media handles, it's Chante Aaliyah, CHA, like Nancy, PE, and then Aaliyah. That's it on all my social media, all of it.
Okay, what about you, Sylvia?
If you want to contact me about being a military spouse, that'll probably be my TikTok, which is Sylvia May, I believe, _. I just post things about like momhood, what I'm doing, stuff like that. And that would probably be the best way to connect to me. Yeah. I do want to say one thing. We had this conversation, and whoever's watching, it may seem like a lot of the things were like kind of negative or whatever, but I will say, like, if this is the phase of life you're going into or that you're currently in, it's not all negative. It's not all negative. It's like life. There's pros and cons. And there's a lot of cons, trust me, but there is a lot of pros to it as well. It definitely is a different way of living. And if you're going into this as a single soldier and you're just going to be a military spouse, that's probably like great for you because you get travel, you get, mingling with new people. But don't be afraid to meet new people on your base. There's Facebook groups, there's a lot of places you can, link up with people, go to parties, I don't know. Make friends on base, and that will help you get through it.
Okay. Well, thank you for that last bit of advice. So, all right, that's a wrap on today's episode. So, if you love today's episode, make sure you subscribe, write us a review, send it to a mom who maybe their spouse is thinking about joining the military, or someone who may already be, their spouse already is in the military and they may be struggling, or just want to feel that support. So definitely share it with somebody who needs to hear it. So until next time, keep growing and keep glowing, and we'll see y'all next week.
Thanks for tuning into the Quimby Chronicles Momcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode, and join us next time as we tackle more of the beautiful chaos that is motherhood.